Hey guys, it's Jordy Jordan. How you guys doing? We're doing the Reddit Ask Me Anything. This is more spawned based on the survival trip. So let's go and get into this. The first question today comes from a Mr. Rowan. And he asked, will you attend another survival trip? The answer to this question is no/maybe. Well, let me explain that. I really want to do a survival trip at some point in my life. I really want to attempt to try this. I feel like this is where the manly roots is, but I do not feel like I'm in the best situation mentally and physically to do a survival trip. What I would like to do is I would like to kind of get my feet wet first and maybe go in and do some sort of camping trip and slowly but surely go gain skills and crafts and experiences I need to put myself in a survival situation. One of the things that I feel is the greatest advantage of a survival trip is that I'm putting myself in the survival trip. So I should be able to dictate the time, the place, and where I'm in the survival situation. And I don't feel like I am ready for that right now. So that's Mr. Rowan's answer. The second question on the Reddit Ask Me Anything, Wings of Redemption, comes from Raul A. How do you plan on losing weight in the upcoming months? This is actually a very good question. It's a question I feel like I don't have a right answer to. The reason I don't have a right answer to this question is no matter what I say, I feel like somebody else will say I need to do a little bit more. And I feel like I don't want to put too much stress on me. But I've kind of found a happy medium. What I've been doing recently for the last 10 days is mainly vegetables and protein. An 80-20 split. 80% vegetables, 20% protein. And I try to keep it at 1,500 calories a day. I have a couple good friends that follow me. One's named Maury. Another one's name is Steven. Most of you know as Boogie. And I get a lot of advice from other guys that were big or are currently big that tell me to kind of coalesce into the information I have now. And I feel like diet is where I struggle the most. And with the diet, that's what I want to do diet-wise. What I want to do physical-wise isn't working out, but becoming more active outside of the home. I feel like if I got a hobby and I got responsibility from somewhere else other than myself, I feel not only will it help with my cabin fever problem, it'll help with my social relations problem, it will also help with my weight problem. So that's my goal or plan to lose weight in the upcoming months. Question number 3 comes from Dr. Peep. He asks, what is your favorite restaurant? Again, a very good question, and it's hard to decide, but it isn't hard to decide. Since one I go to way too often, more than I'd like to admit, I'm going to go to the other one. My favorite restaurant would be Applebee's, your friendly neighborhood grill. Mainly because this is where I usually, crank in the first date or with anybody where I like to meet. Mainly because I love their spicy boneless chicken wings there. And they have a wonderful drink menu since they actually have a full bar there, which I don't drink alcohol, but the date or somebody else might drink. The runner-up was Zaxby's, same reason. I love fried chicken, man. That's just what it is. The next question comes from somebody famous, Paris Hilton. She asked, do you think the video White Boy put up is acted as a catalyst to seemingly growing separation between you and the other PKA hosts? I'm going to go ahead and define the word catalyst because I had to look it up and actually what it means. Catalyst is a source of whatever materials that can act as fuel to burn without changing itself. So essentially it's White Boy throwing gasoline on the fire, the separation between me and the host. I would like to think that me and the host aren't separating. I think what I want to do is we kind of stepped away and took a break. I don't feel like there's any underlying deep hardship there, more so than we are currently just not on the same playing field. I don't hate any of the hosts. I don't hold hatred in my heart for none of the guys on Painkiller already. And I'm not going to be like this vicious shark that turns on them as soon as I can't use them for one of my personal gains. It's just not the kind of person I am, or at least not the kind of person I want to be. Every situation has a hypocritical aspect to it, but deep down in my heart I'm not that kind of person, so I'm not going to run off to like a DJ Keemstar or somebody else that always wants to spit venom at them and try to be like, oh, this is what you need to do. No, every one of them is a good person at heart. I feel like I'm a good person at heart, And do I feel like White Boy's video did anything? I felt White Boy video did exactly what White Boy's video set out to do. Make it feel like there's somebody at least in my corner, so I'm not 100% beat up on in a time of need. And I hold no fault to that. White Boy is a self-confessed money whore, and he's just doing smart business. That's all he's doing, and trying to reach a hand of friendship out at the same time. No fault of his own. Question number 5, and we're going to round the first section of this AMA off with this question. It comes from Capital K. What type of content do you like to produce the most? If every video that you made was guaranteed 100,000 views, what content should we expect to see from you? Well, this is a hard question. So I'm going to tell a little backstory with this question. As a kid, growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, the most popular thing there was burning CDs. And when you burned these CDs, it allowed you to share music. So one thing I enjoyed the most was like burning music that I enjoyed, that I didn't feel like people would normally have heard in their everyday life, and shared it with them through burnt CDs. And I feel like Let's Plays are the same kind of vehicle for me in this part of life. Basically, a lot of the games I like to play, I catch a lot of flack for them being old, and they don't get a lot of views because they come from a time or age when people were, well, just the people that are watching my videos now, it's just the games were before them, before their time, or you know, they were like 8 or 9 when they actually came out, such as, you know, like Dragon Age or Final Fantasy 7. Final Fantasy 7, huh? I ain't want to do the math, but I want to share those games with the people nowadays, and I want to share all the stuff and knowledge that I learned with those people, even though they don't get the amount of views. So if I had to make videos, the videos I want to make is pretty much Let's Plays of old games from my childhood, because I'm an aging hippie. But that's question number 5. Stay tuned for the next video, guys. We're going to answer 5 more of your questions. Obviously, we can't answer all 400 plus questions, so we picked the top 30 or 40 questions that we found, because there was some repeats, and some questions were worded differently but asked the same thing. So hopefully we can do a broad sweep of things and get everybody's questions out of the way. Welcome back, guys, to the Reddit AMA Ask Me Anything Jordan Survival Trip Edition. Do you believe, well, this next question comes from Odo is Awesome. Do you believe if you had won the 1v1 versus Syndicate, that your channel would be as big as his, and his would be comparable in size to yours right now? No, I don't. The fact is, there's been a secret going around in the gaming community for a long time, and that secret is pretty much that being good at a game does not dictate how good your YouTube channel is going to be. Look at some of the largest gaming channels out there. PewDiePie, for example. He's good at games, but he's not the best at games. You gotta be good enough. You can't come in and be Ken Burton. With that being said, Syndicate has a more broad personality than me. He has a more likable personality than me. He's a more likable person than me. We're two different people altogether. Do I think that Syndicate is the end-all be-all of my channel? No. Most of the people that probably watch my channel now probably don't even remember that even happened. And most of the people that left my channel when that happened probably never came back. Or who knows. But the root of the question is, do I think that if I beat Syndicate in that 1v1 would have done anything? I think at that point in time I was going to lose subscribers either way, from just the way I initiated it, the way I was coming at him vehemently, just spewing venom, and I think the way I handled the overall situation with Tom is what made me lose subscribers, much less so than the 1v1. The reason I put so much emphasis on the 1v1 is during that stage in time, I was almost indoctrinated with my own self worth, that I felt like I was one of the best in the world, and lo and behold, I wasn't. So that's what caused that reaction. And keep in mind, that was in 2010-ish. That was episode 67. So it was 2010. So I was like 23, 24, somewhere in that ballpark. So I was younger, and hopefully people change over time, but you can't change who you are. You can't destroy 20 years of conditioning in 4 years. So yeah, I feel like I'm a better person now than I was then, and yeah, that's who I am. The next question comes from, I'm gonna get this name wrong, Nanika 4? New York Anika 4? Anyway, she asked, what is the current state of your desk? Well, the desk is currently a money pit. That is what the desk currently is. I do not have the funds or the means to finish it at this point. Maybe sometime in the future I'll have more funds, or maybe, I'll pick up woodworking and I'll finish it myself. But currently it's sitting in the building behind my house. There's a big building. You'll see it in a lot of my blogs. You'll see it in a lot of my fire blogs. There's a big building with a shed around it. The desk is in there with only half of it. Only half of it's ever been built. It's designed to be an L desk. Kind of like goes like this. And it's designed to the perimeters of this room. And it's designed to go back to that closet which you see behind me. But currently I'm about, I want to say $1,600 into it, and it's unfinished. It doesn't have the top done on it. It's structurally sound, like you could actually use it as a desk, but it still needs probably about 2.5 feet of lacquer and hardwood sanded off of it, and it needs to be refinished with I'm going to guess 20 coats of polyurethane. And it needs to be restained. The top has to be restained, since we did a whole bunch of sanding to get the glass epoxy off the desk itself. Do I think it's going to be finished in its entirety like it was imagined? I doubt it. The wood I had bought for the second desk was actually used by my buddy to build part of his porch, so I had to buy more wood for it. And I thought that was a low blow in itself, but that's what it is on the desk. Most of the supplies that I bought to build the second part of the desk has been used without my permission. The guy who originally set out to, build the desk, and I paid in advance. And the reason I paid him in advance was because he was in a bad situation money-wise. So instead of letting him borrow money, I'm like, look, I don't want to let you borrow money, because generally when you let people borrow money, you never get it back. So I said, I'm going to give you this money in advance, and you go ahead and build this desk for me. And things didn't work out. I'm still friends with him. I'm still friends this day. I'll probably be friends till the day either one of us dies. Because, man was in a bad spot. People do stupid things. You move on with it. And that's, in my opinion, what friendship's about. Question number 8 comes from GingerNut115. Have you ever tried any illegal drugs? If so, which ones? Illegal drugs? Well, no, I've actually never tried any illegal drugs. I have experienced secondhand smoke for marijuana, but I've never actually smoked marijuana. And like this, in the secondhand smoke for marijuana, I was actually too young to realize if I was high or not, to be perfectly honest. But I remember being around it because of the smell. Like, marijuana has this very unique smell to it. And I was actually, I don't remember how old I was, but my daddy had come to pick me up as like a weekend thing. So my daddy came pick me up, and I went to his house for the weekend or the day or whatever. And he had a girlfriend named Laura, and he had a buddy named Jim, and Jim smoked pot. And I remember Jim lighting up a cigarette, which I knew what a cigarette was, but this one smelled really, 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 really raunchy, and I don't want to say foul, but it was a smell that kind of assaulted the nose. And that's the only time I can ever remember being around illegal drugs. Actually, no, that's wrong. Because my buddy, which built the desk, I've seen him do cocaine before, because At one point, me and him both worked together at Domino's as delivery drivers, and we used to go back to his house, and sometimes, I'd stay the night at his house and sleep on the couch or whatever. It depends on how late we stayed over and watched TV and things. But I've seen him have to go to work the next day, and he only slept like 2 hours, so he'd do a line of cocaine to pick him up and go out there. But he offered it to me, but I've never been about that. From a young age, I knew that I had my own addiction to deal with, and I'm still dealing with it to this day, which is my eating addiction. So no, I've never done any illegal drugs. I probably own more alcohol shirts than I've drunk in ounces of alcohol, and yeah, that's the truth about my drug addictions and things. The next question on the Reddit AMA comes from Feline Causey, and it's in a nutshell. As you see, I've seen a text from your Twitter. Is it back under your control, or is someone else tweeting from it? I have my Twitter back. This kind of spawns onto the PKA thing, but basically when I was told that we were going to have a fallout, or we're going to take a break from Painkiller Ready or me being on the show, that I was told, I was really upset, I was really down, and I asked for my Twitter account password back, because I don't know if that friendship will ever be mended, kind of deal. So I didn't want to lose my Twitter account and all. Because my Twitter account, even though it's been a subterfuge of trolls and people that want to come in and dig at my skin. If you ever want a good time, read like the comments on my Twitter, because it's some of the most vile stuff you'll ever read. Even though it's like a safe haven for trolls and people that want to have just ambiguity on the internet, it's still mine, and it's still a way I can actually touch it with people that actually want to play with me. And I never felt good about asking people to play games on Facebook, mainly because Facebook is something that's more for like highlights and funny stuff. I guess Twitter could be the same way, but I see Twitter as a easier way to to get out there and reach people that like, hey, who wants to play Resident Evil 6? Or hey, who wants to play Call of Duty on the PS4? Or who's played this? Or like, look, wonder what Mike Miner's doing right now. When I want to actually talk to people in live action, I feel like Twitter is better for that than Facebook, whereas Facebook's more for like big life updates and funny pictures and things of that nature. So yes, I do have my Twitter back. I probably won't be using it as much, but I will be using it some. But I'm still trying to distance myself from it in its entirety. Question number 10, and this question is going to wrap up the second part of the Ask Me Anything Reddit video. It is a two-part question, and it's from IBM 322. He asks, "What is your favorite rifle, and what is the best truck brand?" He didn't ask my favorite truck. He asked it, what is the best truck brand, which is an opinion, and I'll give that opinion here shortly. My favorite rifle is obviously the Remington 700. It's the first rifle I ever bought. Mine's currently named Samantha. It's one of it has one of the best actions ever made. It's the basis for so many military grade rifles. It's chambered in all the powerful rounds. Generally, like a Remington 700 chambered in the right round can kill anything that walks this earth, and it can do it accurately. It's good as a bush gun. It's good as a long range marksman rifle. It comes in synthetic stocks. It's lightweight. There's short barrel SPS versions. My favorite rifle, which when I hear the word rifle, I think long rifle, would be the Remington Model 700. The best truck brand. This is a unique question because he didn't ask my favorite truck brand or the brand I'm most loyal to. Yes, the best truck brand, which that's the best on the market today. And I feel like the best truck on the market today is still the Ford F-150. It has the best ride of all three. Well, I haven't had a chance to drive any of the 2014 GM models. But I have driven the 2013 Dodge Ram, and I own the 2012 F-150, which is still the current model that they're going right now. And I have, my brother owns a 2007 GMT 900 frame Chevy Silverado, which I really like that too. The Dodge had the best ride and had the best luxurious equipment, but in the back of my mind, Dodge has never been a company that I would throw my hat into, that what I would trust with like $30,000 or $40,000 of my money to give me a good product. They fail year in and year out on developing a product that lasts, that looks good, and ages well. Dodge just doesn't do that. And like, if anything, you kind of see like them with the gas tanks on the Jeeps and the seat belts from the old minivans and the old Dodge Ram trucks that didn't really protect you in a wreck. You can see how they actually care about their customer, because they refuse to do a recall because it would cost the company money instead of save lives. Whereas Ford, for those who don't know, Ford owns 70% of the work truck market, and they own that for a reason, because they make dependable work trucks. GM and Ford, they own the truck market because they make the best trucks in the world. People are like, oh, what about the Toyota Tundra? What about the Tacoma? They sell such a small fraction of trucks. It's small. I mean, the most dependable truck is probably one of those old Tacomas from back in the 1980s. But but we're not asking about dependability here. We're asking about the best, and that you have to take into all kinds of account. You got to take in gas mileage. You got to take into account, power. You got to take into account luxury, technology, style, look, affordability. And I still think you can get a midline F-150, and it will drive miles better than anything else out there, and it's still the best truck. And I haven't had a chance to even mess with any of the new GM trucks. I'd love to get a chance to drive one around for a day or so, if anybody out there can make that happen. But I feel like the new 5.3 with the direct injection and the dual overhead cam, I don't think it's going to be strong enough to deal with what the Ford's going to do EcoBoost wise, because Ford has a small diesel coming out. They got a 4-cylinder EcoBoost coming out. They're always revamping the V6 EcoBoost, which is, that thing's a fucking monster, dude. One of the best engines I've ever driven on. And I feel that they just didn't do enough. The dual overhead cam direct injection 5.3, it just is not enough to catch up with Ford. It can't even match the EcoBoost's numbers, and the EcoBoost came out 3 years beforehand, and it hadn't been revamped yet. So hopefully, for Chevrolet's sake, that the 5.3 direct injection has room to grow. I mean, the old one did, the first generation. It grew from 265 horsepower to 315. So hopefully there's room to grow, and there's and the ride is phenomenal. But I just don't see them holding up the Ford, especially since Ford is about to redo their model series with the aluminum bodies. I think the Ford F-150 is the best truck on the market right now. But that's Series 2. I'll catch you guys in a minute. Hey guys, welcome back to video 3 of the Reddit Ask Me Anything. And we're going to jump into the questions. I'm going to try to do a little bit of speed round, since a lot of the serious questions have already been knocked out. So let's go ahead and start with this one. If you could do this whole situation over again, would you do what you did, or would you do it differently? This question is from Nazca1, and the answer to this question is yes. If I had to do everything over this last week again, I would just have went on the trip. If I knew that there was going to be this big of a fallout for not going on this trip, I would have went. Mainly just to avoid the headache. I mean, because it would have been me taking the easiest route out. It would have been easier to go up there and hang out than it would have been to sit here and take abuse for like almost 5 days in a row. And still there are people using this as an advantage to kick me when I'm down. I mean, if you notice, the King of Cocks the other day had, lots of dislikes on it. But yeah, I would have went on the trip if I had to do this all again, because that would have been the easier way out. Did you actually go to Korea and play StarCraft competitively? This is from Werben Jager Manjensen. Sorry if I messed that name up. The correct answer is no. I didn't go to StarCraft and play competitively. That little white lie came from me, but I did play StarCraft at a high level. I played StarCraft Vanilla, and inside the StarCraft they had a ladder system. And during that ladder system, I always would be one of the top, not really top tier, but I was always one of the better players of the ladder season. And I was always, I was getting really into competitive at the time, so I'd always have these little tourneys that they would set up and I would introduce, and I did win a few of them. But what happened was Brood War came out, and with Brood War coming out, I kind of lost interest because I kind of was really waiting on Diablo 2, because Brood War came out in 98 and Diablo 2 came out in 99-ish, 2000, and I was kind of falling out of love with StarCraft. I was getting into other games, and Diablo 2 was the game I kind of went to. So yeah, in StarCraft Vanilla, I was a competitive player. I just wasn't at the level of July Zerg or Slayer Boxer or the Fat Clan or any of those people. So that's that question. Question number 3. What are you going to do in the upcoming weeks? I'm assuming this has to do with my channel. Like, what direction do I want to have my channel? Not being on Painkiller already leaves a huge hole in my channel. And I figured that hole is about 100,000 views a month. Because, it's 80 to 100,000 views a month. This Painkiller already got anywhere from 20 to 30,000 views a week. So I got to kind of make up for that, and to do that I need to make more videos. One of the things about my channel is I always wanted to cut the video demand down. I feel like where I messed up in the beginning of my channel was that I did too many videos too quickly. And that being said, I set myself up to almost always have to do too many videos too quickly. But I would like to start aiming for a 2 video minimum per day, and sometimes going 3 videos deep, and that way to make up the views for Painkiller already, which is like 80 to 100,000. So that's that. And I'd also like to get back in touch with the community, and maybe even find another group of guys to hang out with, and maybe even spawn another podcast off with it, because I still to this day love podcasting. There was things about Painkiller already I didn't like or we didn't agree on, and I don't know. See if thunder can strike twice with the podcasting. I'm not going to rush into it. I'll probably take part in a lot more podcasts now, since I don't have 4 hours on Friday to do anything, which I have normally set aside for PKA. So if you got a podcast out there and you want a guest, I'm your man. And question number 14. Do you still hold the title as the best hand job in South Carolina? Well, I'd like to think so. I had 2 practice sessions yesterday, and both of them went very well. Both of them came with a happy ending. I can almost do it at will. So yeah, and you know, I have a body that's even more. My body's harder to practice with than a normal person's body would be. So yeah, I probably do get the best hand job in South Carolina. I'm going to hold that title for a very long time. And question number 15. Update on Ashley Seals. Sadly, I can't update you on Ashley Seals. I haven't seen the girl since I did the update video almost 2 years ago. I don't normally talk to her. For those you don't know, Ashley Seals isn't a friend of the family or anything. What happened, for a quick backstory, I used to, partially own a place called Joanne's Kitchen, and it was a little restaurant attached to a convenience store of a company called Sun House, and we just had one location. It wasn't this big thing. And in there was a jar that said they needed to raise money to send this girl to a bariatric breathing treatments, and the jar was just pitiful. We had like just little sums of change, and it probably had $25 in it. The Shriners raised like $300 or something like that for the barbecue cookout, which I love the Shriners to death. For those you don't know, that when I was born bow-legged, and I had to have special shoes to kind of make my right leg kind of go in, because it had to go out straight. Because if this is a normal person standing, my right foot kind of came in like this, and I had to wear a special kind of shoe up to about age 5 to get my legs to kind of like straighten out and the bone to go straight. And the Shriners helped pay for that because I grew up very poor. I grew up in the projects and stuff. And like so I respect the Shriners a tremendous amount. I think they're a wonderful society. But I'm like, man, and this is during the height of my popularity. I'm like, I could really help this girl. So I took it more as a challenge than like a leap of good faith to see how much I could help her. And we ended up raising 80% of what we needed. So they needed something like I think they needed 10 grand, and we ended up raising something along the lines of a 7,600 or like that. And that with the Shriner money, it just rounded it up to 8,000. So what happened was, well, actually we did a little bit more. We did like 7,900 or something like that. And I told her I promised her I'd give her 10,000. So I donated 2,000 of my own money right on top of it, and they got the bariatric treatment, and it went well. So and later I did a video about a year later, and it showed her walking. So she can walk a little bit now. She's nowhere where she wants to be from last I checked, but she'd like to be able to drive, which I don't feel like that's a goal that she'll ever actually reach legally. Her muscles are just too much. They're just too far gone. Hey guys, welcome to the PK subreddit video number 4. If you're still with me, thank you very much. This is pretty much all going to be funny questions except the last one, which is serious. So if you want to hear the last serious question, stick around with us or skip ahead. It doesn't matter. Number 6 comes from a guy I hope who never forgets his password. I'm about to look at this one to actually call out his name. It's 785239654123698744123. So if you ever need to remember your username, come back and watch video number 4 of the Wings of Redemption Ask Me Anything. He asked me, tits or ass? Well, come on now. It has to be ass. Has to be. Tits are worthless. Other than feeding babies, they're just for looks. They really give you no pleasure during sex. They give you no pleasure in any way. Whereas the ass is the foundation. You hold on to it. You use it as a handlebar. You get to feel it. You get to caress it. It can rub against you. You get to use it outside of sexual contact. Say she sits on your lap, sits in a movie theater, you know, shakes, wiggles, it is a sign of affection. It has to be ass. It's ass. Alright. Question number 17. What is my favorite conspiracy theory? This is from Versus 938. Don't know what your name's about. My favorite conspiracy theory has to be... First one that pops in my mind is Oak Island. I think Oak Island is one of the cooler conspiracy theories. The Oak Island money pit. But I want to say that Bigfoot is a close second. Mainly because Bigfoot is something that is tangible, but at the same time is improbable. For those of you unaware what Oak Island is, Oak Island money pit is like a series of elaborate traps and triggers that is on an island called Oak Island that that pretty much has a water trap on it, and is said to have a hidden treasure, you know, a little further down. And scientists, smart men, companies have invested billions or millions of dollars into trying to get this trap figured out, and they can't do it. And I'd really like to see who actually designed this trap, because it was made so far back, and it's just a piece of ingenuity. I think the Oak Island money pit is my favorite conspiracy theory. Question number 18. What is your favorite video that you've made? This one hasn't changed. I've said this a few times, I've shared it a few times. My favorite video that I've ever made was a video when Battlefield Bad Company 2 just recently came out, and I made a video called Who Needs Rockets? To this day, my favorite video I've ever made. I'm never gonna, if I had to have a runner-up, it would be a mixture between my 1 million view video and the video which I used the commentary off of in my 1 million view video, which was something to look back on, which was like kind of like a fuck yeah to CNNers who actually got the front page of CNN, and I kind of reflected on the gaming community in general. So that's some more memorable mentions. Question number 19. What person has helped you the most in life? The person that's helped me the most in life. That's a hard one, because it's vague. What person has sculpted me the most in life would have to be my mother, obviously. But my mother's not the answer people want. What person helped me the most in life? I think my buddy George. My buddy George, he kind of became a father figure to me at a young age, and kind of helped me go down the thing. Between him and my mother, it kind of made me into the person I was to become. And other than that, people on the internet's really played a dramatic role. Woody has kind of taken over the role of like almost a father figure in my life, and I think a lot of that comes from him dealing with me constantly, and I think that's the reason he put up with me for so long, and it is because of that. I think he sees me as almost like as a father figure, and he's played a huge role in my life. I'd be a much different person today if I hadn't met Woody back in 2009-ish than I would have been if I turned out differently. So you can pick your answer there, but those are the probable people. And the last question I'm going to answer today on the AMA subreddit: who would be the best replacement if you were actually to be totally kicked off PK? And this question from Hey It's Jam. Who would I handpick to replace me on PK? It would be anybody that they're probably going to replace me with. The person I'd pick to replace me on PK most likely would be Boogie 2988. Because you need a fat guy. But I feel like Boogie is in itself the best speaker on YouTube in general. I feel like he's got a great speaking voice. He articulates his ideas much better than I can, and he's just a joy to listen to. Even though most of the stuff kind of tend toward his weight, even when you're not talking about his weight, he's just a very intelligent and well-spoken person. And the idea of Painkiller Ready is to be an entertaining show, and I feel like he would bring he would keep the entertaining dynamic there much better than a lot of the people that are most likely going to be the ones that actually replace me. And that's what I would, if I had to leave PK and I had to handpick my replacement, that's who it would be. It would be Boogie 2988, because I feel like he could keep Painkiller Ready a powerhouse of a show for years to come, and wouldn't be like a stagnant guest that you kind of stumble through 2 or 3 of them trying to figure out what happens and what fits right. But that's 20 questions. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know there's 400 plus questions that was asked, and I couldn't do all 400, especially not in this format. But I'm going to link this to the subreddit, and hopefully you guys like it and enjoy it. Hopefully you found some of the questions you had answers to. I answered every question truthfully. And that's that. Hopefully you guys continue to support my videos, and hopefully you guys continue to be with me for years to come. And hopefully I'm less than 100 pounds, because Maury said he burned my house down if I was not 300 pounds when he came back. So that's something to work forward to. Peace.